Alright, for this video, I'm going to go through a couple of different problems from the different activities you need to work on today. So I'm going to start with one problem that's an example of some other problems that you find in your worksheets. So I need you to stop the video when I tell you to stop so that you can practice the rest of the problems like that, and then continue the video to work on the next couple problems. Alright, so there are a couple different sets of problems you need to work on. The first set is just calculating circumference of a circle. So we know circumference of a circle is calculating the distance around the circle and what it actually measures, its length. To find the circumference, we learned two formulas. The two formulas we learned were circumference, c, equals 2 times pi times r, so 2 pi r, or the other formula we learned was circumference equals pi times diameter. So you need to figure out which formula to use based on the information that's given to you in your problems. So for the first problem, let's do number 1 together. This says find the circumference of each circle, use the calculator's value of pi, and then round your answer to the nearest tenth. So looking at this circle, I see a radius. So this is telling me that 8.3 is a radius. That's r. So based on the formula, which formula has r in it? The formula with r in it is the 2 pi r. So circumference, I'm going to write down the formula, is 2 times pi times r. Plugging in my value for r, I'm multiplying 2 times pi times 8.3. And that's a decimal right here. This is not multiply. So on your calculator, clear out what's ever on the screen, and you're going to type in 2. Now to get the pi symbol, pi is right above the clear button, or below the clear button, excuse me. You hit second, pi, and then times 8.3. So I've got 2 pi times 8.3. This asks me to round to the nearest tenth. The nearest tenth is the number right after the decimal place. So it's only one number after the decimal place. So what you do is you look at the number next to it. If the number is 5 or higher, you round up. If it's lower than 5, it stays the same. So in this case, this answer rounds to 52.2 centimeters. And notice I'm using the unit that they gave me. So now you should be able to do the first 5 problems on this page. So please stop the video at this point, and then you can continue on with number 6 when you get to number 6. Alright. You should have finished up to number 5 by this point, and now you're at number 6. Notice the difference between the problems that you worked on from 1 through 5 and 6 is that in number 6 you were given the diameter. So remember, the diameter is the segment that goes through the circle, through the center of the circle, and cuts it in half. So here my diameter is 21.4. So I'm going to say that equals d for diameter. Taking a look back at my formulas, I had two formulas, one that used the radius and one that used the diameter. So clearly, since I've been given the diameter, I'm going to use the diameter formula. So it's c equals pi times diameter. So in this problem, it's c equals pi times 21.4. So multiplying second caret pi times 21.4, I get 67.2, and my unit is miles. Make sure you include the unit. So anytime you're given the diameter, you use this formula, and anytime you're given the radius, you use that formula. So again, try 6 through 10. Pause the video at this point, and then you can continue on to the back page with number 11 after you finish number 10. Alright, so you should now be done with 1 through 10, and then here, for these problems, it's asking you to find the circumference, and you've got problems including the radius and the diameter. So we know that the formula for circumference is 2 pi r with the radius, or pi times diameter with the diameter. In these problems, they want you to find the exact, and the instructions didn't list it, but you want to find the exact circumference. What that means is you don't actually multiply by pi, you just leave pi in the answer. So it sounds more complicated than it is, but it's actually pretty easy. Let's take a look at the first example. This is your radius, so I know to use the formula that includes the r. So my circumference equals 2 times pi times r. What I'm going to do is plug in 7 for the radius, And then I'm not going to use my calculator to multiply by pi. The only thing I'm going to multiply together is the 2 times the 7. So in this problem, 2 times 7 is 14. And I'm going to leave the pi there, because this is more accurate as an answer because you're not rounding. So your circumference here is 14 pi miles. So again, with these problems, you substitute in the value that you're looking for, which is r in this case. You multiply the 2 times the 7, and you leave the answer with pi, because this is the exact answer where you're not rounding. Versus the other page, we had a round. So try questions 1 through 15, 11 through 15, just like this problem. Please pause the video at this point, and you'll continue on with number 16. Alright, for number 16, here they're giving you the diameter. So you're looking at our formula, circumference equals pi times diameter. This one's actually pretty easy. To get the exact answer, you just rearrange the two terms. It becomes 22 pi. I'm not actually multiplying these together because I don't want to get a decimal answer. I want the exact answer, and this unit's in kilometers. So the circumference of this circle is 22 pi kilometers. So again, try 16 through 20 on this example, and pause the video at this point. You'll continue on with the next sheet. Alright, this is a little bit harder now. So with these problems, this is why we worked on problems that had the exact answers, because sometimes you'll see questions that ask you to find certain things. So this question is asking you to find the radius. So remember, the circumference formula says c equals 2 pi r. And this question is asking you, what is the radius given your circumference? So your formula looks like this. I'm going to replace the c this time with 14 pi, and then rewrite the formula on the other side. So all I replaced was the c with the 14 pi. To get r by itself, I have to divide both sides by 2 pi. So notice the pi's cancel out because anything divided by itself is 1. The 2's go away. The pi's on this side go away. And now all I'm doing is taking 14 and dividing it by 2. So my answer is 7. The radius is 7 feet. And then think about that. That should make sense. If your radius is 7 feet and you plug it in, 2 times 7 is 14, and that's where the 14 comes from. So all you need to do really is divide the circumference by 2, and then you'll get your radius, if your answer is listed as 14 pi, with the pi in it. So try questions 1 through 10, solving for the radius. Pause the video here, and we'll continue on with number 11. Number 11 is asking you to find the diameter. So again, it tells you to go to this formula, c equals pi times d. So I'm going to replace the c this time with 16 pi, and then rewrite the formula. I'm looking for d, so all I have to do is divide both sides by pi. Pi goes away, so I get 16 miles equals the diameter. And there's your answer. This one's a little bit easier because there's only the pi value that needs to be divided away. So try 11 through 20. That's it for this video, and then you can work on the practice problems for homework.